Welcome back to the special edition of Where Hornets Walk. We are live because less than 24 hours after we finished wrapping up the season, Mr. Pozzo has hit again. Tom Cleverley sat, and here we are again, Watford FC, on the search for a brand new manager. Thank you if you're watching this live, or if you are watching the recording of this, please let us know your comments on this. Another episode of wackiness in the history of Watford Football Club. Aaron, 24 hours ago, we were saying he's probably got the summer, he's all right. What the hell's happened?
Yeah, I'm honestly stunned to be sitting here having to do this today. Just to preempt anyone, yesterday we literally recorded what we thought was going to be our last episode for the summer.
Less than 24 hours.
Ria's right, less than 24 hours. We spoke about all the things we want to see in the summer. I mean, it was very much let's get Cleverley back and go for it again. We think we got something there, and then to see that news today, people were saying we're back to square one. I think we're further than square one. This is terrible.
How he's united the fan base, Rio, has been talked about a lot. Therefore, the fan base are now united in a certain direction here. Do you think the Pozzos have realised the scale of what they've done today?
Well, his son has. But no, what's the name? I was looking back actually to February when, after we just come off that tough period, when there was talks about Cleverley getting sacked, and we beat Middlesbrough and then we beat Luton, 2 wins in a row. And if you look at the post-match celebrations after those 2 games, you've got the players like jumping with Cleverley and Cleverley telling them to calm down, Cleverley staying humble, and the togetherness looked great. But we're back to square one, and a year's hard work of getting the fans back on board, because I don't think any of us have taken to a manager since Javi Gracia, and I'm sure the players, I think they absolutely love Cleverley. Pollock told me in February when I saw him at one of the Youth Cup games, he's the best manager he's ever had. And lots of the Watford players like Tom Bashira and Badger Barr have been saying that in the comments of Cleverley's post today. I think they're all gutted, and I don't know, I feel like they haven't down tools under Cleverley, but I think it's going to be really hard to get up for the next manager.
Yeah. Your reaction, Luke?
I'm actually quite embarrassed about my ownerships is the Pozzos. I think it's the way they've gone around it, which is really, really frustrating. I think it's cheeky the way they've done it. This is the first actual working day after the season. They sacked him by lunchtime. That we got the tweet around 1 o'clock. And I think it is just so frustrating that, he didn't get a send-off. They've tactically did it so they haven't got any backlash. They must have been sacking him, that time around Derby away, because there was so much backlash that they must have done a U-turn on it. And all the sources we had were saying he's gone, and we had that proper good sort of camaraderie of those games, and we ended up sort of keeping him. And I think from there, the Pozzos knew, but they didn't tell Cleverley what was happening. Poor Tom Cleverley was there. There's definitely no way that he knew on Saturday that he was being sacked. You can tell by someone's reaction. If they knew we were going to be sacked, they would not be like that. 100% sure. I think he would have said something. And I just am more appalled by how the Pozzos have gone around it. They've done it after season's finished to have less backlash. So by August time, the fans probably go, oh, well, we forgot about it now. There's a new manager on board. So let's just stick behind him and let's forget about it, which is very smart for them. But I'm really hoping that what fans do not forget about this and let this one slide. And also the more annoying fact is, fans are already on board with next season as well. We've got 12,500 season tickets that have been sold already. I'll tell you what, that number would have been very different if everyone knew about Tom Cleverley would have been sacked the first game after season. I think this is just a very poor and sort of selfish strategy from the Pozzos, and they're not thinking about the fans at all. They're not thinking about Tom Cleverley.
Cheers. Look, if you're just joining us, we're doing this live for for a very odd occasion, but we love your comments. Get typing. We'll read some of these out. How have you reacted today? I mean, I haven't seen a single tweet that thinks this is a good idea. Aaron, the timing is strange. I mean, he was rumoured. I mean, Rio, I'll come to you on this because you posted the video of him in the bar, I think, after the Luton's relegation singing. Is there any element of that you're thinking? Well, he knows he's gone, so he could maybe do something like that. I saw one tweet suggesting, well, it's unlike him. It's not in his nature to be recorded on video singing about Luton going down. Is there an element that he thought he probably did know?
Me or Aaron?
Both.
You go first, Aaron.
Maybe. I think, yeah, he quite possibly would have known maybe after Saturday's game, but I don't know. I feel like he's been really stabbed in the back. I sort of agree with Luke's sentiment there. I think this was the plan all along. I can't remember if I said it on the pod, but I definitely said it to Rio in January. I said this is the start now. They won't back him, and he'll be left with what we've got. And if he doesn't get the same result, that they'll hang him out to dry for it, and that's exactly what happened. It's become so predictable the way that we operate, and it gets more and more embarrassing, and it's at this point it's just sad. You start to feel that apathy, that just lack of anything towards what's going on, because I almost feel powerless at this point. And there's always been this talk of, can we do something to sort of not even get them out sometimes, it's just to get them to do something that we'd want to see. And we thought we'd hardly had that impact when he wasn't sacked in January. But it just shows that they'll continue to do whatever they see is right and best fit. And at the end of the day, right now, it's his club and we can't get it back. And I think that we need to start thinking about how we can really get our voice across stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit unlike him. He was in the Unicorn Pub in Abbots Langley. It's a bit unlike him. He's usually a bit, he doesn't really have many emotions. He keeps his feet on the floor, but I don't think he actually knew. I heard, I think the meeting took place today, some people were saying this morning. So the fact that they put it out like an hour or two after it's probably happened, like that's just crazy. And I'm surprised the replacement hasn't been announced already, because previous years, I think when we sat Rob Edwards, I think Slaven Bilic was announced half an hour later, which is comical. But yeah, I'm annoyed that he's been sacked now, because Aaron did say that they'd sack him at the end of the season, but more fans would be on board. I think it's actually hit home quite a lot that I think lots of the fans aren't on board with it, even though you see some people on social media saying, oh, he's done this wrong and that wrong, but people would then maybe gathered now, well, he's got a terrible squad. Is the next manager going to do any better? Probably not. Has the previous managers done any better? They haven't. So, yeah, I'm annoyed it's happened now, because the Watford fan base, I think, when does the season start? 100 days' time, less than 100 days. It'll be forgotten about, and we'll win a few games in pre-seasons, playing some fluid football, and everyone will be on board with the new manager's football. And then ultimately, like every season, it turns into rubbish November time, when injuries and depth catch up with us. And yeah, I've heard a few signings maybe were linked to that Kipriano, who Peterborough captain, I'd happily take him. And that Mbenge, I think, the Reading centre-back, he'd also be a good signing. But yeah, if we get a few good signings on board, people will be more in favour. But I don't really think that should be the case. I think it's disgusting what's happened.
Do you think, Luke, if he'd have finished higher and had a more decent run towards the end of the season, we'd still be here? Do you think their mind was made up in January and they chickened out of it? Or let's imagine that he was like, he finished where Millwall did and you were still in it the last day of the season. Do you think we'd still be here now?
I reckon their mind was made up more on the fact that they didn't sign anyone to back him. It clearly wasn't around sort of this project around Cleverley. What really frustrates me is that, you know, when we had Rob Edwards, it was, you know, we're going to back him come hell or high water, whatever the saying was, and he got sacked after 3 months. And then all we was crying out for was, you know, to have a manager where we can have a long-term vision. And I don't think Watford fans are too bothered if we finished 14th, 8th or 7th with Cleverley this season. But as long as we sort of, you know, the owners sort of said, look, we're going to back him. Like my last 3 points in the episode we did yesterday was back the manager. And I think that was the difference. You know, if we backed him in Jan and you gave him players you wanted, he could have done so much better, because he, you know, I feel sorry for him, because you look at our second half of this season, We again didn't have a proper striker. He only got 10 goals. That's not a striker who's going to get you anywhere. And I don't know how the Pozzos can't see that. Anyone with a football brain can see if you've got a striker who's not going to score more than 10 goals, you're never going to succeed. Especially if Sissoko and Kembe are your other top scorers behind. They clearly had a plan and they weren't going to back him. The injuries didn't help us at all, with Georgie being played just for the sake of it, even though he wasn't fully fit. And that's ended up him being out for the rest of the season pretty much. Bar, we've missed him as well. There's just no backup. I feel sorry for Cleverley for what he had to work with, because he done wonders with his team. I don't know how many times that I've said over, all these episodes throughout the season that he's doing wonders with the team, and just throughout us three as a group in this podcast, it's just so frustrating that he wasn't backed. And I again think, regardless of where we finished, I reckon 90% of what fans would have said, yeah, let's keep him again, because we like him. He's playing good football. He's just not got players for it. And clearly the Pozzos were not sold by him anyway by Jan, and that was it. They made the decision and thought, "I'll keep the fans happy for another 5 months, and then we'll sack him off."
The fact that they were the first time they were looking at sacking him, I think we had lost to Cardiff at home. That 17-game unbeaten run at home had ended. Lost to QPR and maybe Sheffield United at home. 3 defeats in a row was the turning factor. The fact that Gino wanted to sack him at the first time of asking. The first time. It's bad enough he's been sacked now, but without the power of the fans and I think the players, because there were rumours they heard after or before Preston at home that he was probably going to go, and Sissoko or someone stopped it happening. They said, but yeah, it's
Well, the thing is, the Pozzos must be thinking that they're not signing anyone. They must think that this side, they've got a top 6 side that they think they've built.
That's what they think, yeah.
Which is more frustrating. And this has been the same running for the last 3 seasons. We've got a squad for top 6. We clearly haven't, because you can see on our last 3 seasons, we finished 14th, 11th, and 15th. So as a proper football squad, as a professional football team, you cannot put a team out every season and think they'll go top 6 and then blame the manager every time. We've been saying this. It's not the manager's fault. It's the owner's fault, because they haven't backed any money into the managers. They've also spent God knows how much on managers this season. Maybe that's their downfall. Maybe they stopped sacking managers. We might have some money for players since we spent about 18 million quid in the last 5 years, which is technically be our highest signing. It's just ridiculous. Like, it is just mental how bad they are at running a football club and just keeping fans happy. It's so simple. So simple. Sign the players, back the manager.
If you look at the managers we've had in previous years since we've gone down, whether you like him or not, Rob Edwards has a promotion to his Premier League on his CV the same season he was manager for us. Wilder has proved he's got out of this division many times, and he's probably going to do it again this season. And who else have we had? I've lost track. Bilic, he's done a good job for West Ham previously as well. And then you've got Ishmael, who he's doing all right with Barnsley now. He picked up a few wins in a row. Cusp of the playoffs, and he also did a really good job at Barnsley with limited funds. He got them into the playoffs. Yeah, he wasn't sacked so early, and maybe his football did turn a bit sour at the end. But it's not the manager's problem; it's the owner and the recruitment.
Thanks for your comments. If you let us know, we'll read some of these out. Let's read this one from Clincy Lang. Thank you. It says, happens every time. Whenever someone comes in, we'll probably do well for the first few games. Some fans will then forget what Pozzos did today, then turn on that manager again, and then the cycle repeats. Thank you. Thanks for that, Clincy. Aaron, do you agree with that? And do keep commenting as well. We are live if you're watching this on the live stream.
Yeah, I think that actually touches on a point made by myself and by Luke the other week, in that I think some of this fan base has sort of been so used to how the Pozzo have operated in the last, 10 years now, that it's almost like they are now having to start to have the outlook of, it's the manager, and it's sort of become part and parcel of the season that the minute we do bad, they expect a change. And I think we've arguably started to see that with obviously a minority, as you can see today, but some fans did think that we would be better off moving on from Cleverley. I mean, the 3 of us in here absolutely did not, but fans did start to think that, and I think that's just indicative of the culture that's been created. It's not healthy. No other club in the league operates quite like this. I think the only other team close to the amount of managers we have is, I think, Stoke, might be wrong.
And more managers in the last 10 years or so than West Ham and Liverpool in their history.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. I mean, and there's more than just that we do differently. I mean, the point regarding how they see the squad as talented and top six. I mean, we have a sporting director who works for Udinese and us. I don't know a single other club who shares their sporting director. We've got a guy who's supposed to be in charge of making all the transfers, helping find those players, and we are sharing him with another team that's not even in this country. How can you perform that job role if you are split between two clubs? The things just don't make sense anymore. They came in when they took the club over with fresh ideas that catapulted the club, and we had so much success. We were in the Premier League for a long time, and obviously every Watford fan is thankful for that. But when it's going so wrong now, and we're only heading one way, it's getting worse and worse. We can't find any consistency. They need to look at themselves. And I'm not even one of those people that's going to hound them out. I'm not going to go and stand outside the director's box and thump on windows and things. I'm not that kind of person. I'm just, please, can you just take some responsibility, look at yourselves and try and do something about it? Because that's all any fan wants. All we want is the best for the club. And you'd think that they'd want that too, given they have so much stake in it.
I also saw a tweet earlier, I think it was Luan's, about if Gino, because there's rumours about Gino selling Watford, also Udinese. Well, he wants to anyway. They said, well, if Gino really wanted to sell us, he wouldn't be sacking Cleverley, because Cleverley's an attractive manager, style of play, young, up and coming. There's not many English managers in the Premier League, Championship, or whatever. And yeah, I don't think Gino's close to selling. I think he'll be here for at least next season. Probably the season after. I think if we do go down to League One, maybe that's when fans will really turn. Hopefully they've turned now, but I think, yeah, just financially we're not good at all.
There's another element here, Luke, as well, which some people have pointed out, in that, you know, he's been a great manager for you, but he's also been a decent player and coach, hasn't he, beforehand? And is it right that he's the last one now of your FA Cup side that's left?
Great!
So it is now the end of an era. I think some people were pointing out that, you know, this is quite a pivotal kind of moment for Watford, because it is literally now out with the old.
Yeah, you're right, Mark. I didn't really think about that. That is the last player, isn't it? Gone. I think with Cleverley, you always knew it was always a safe bet when you first actually got him in. We thought, oh, it's just on a cheap. What fans will come across and like him just because, you know, he's been around for so long, and he has done that. And I think that's what is probably the harder sort of, you know, pill to swallow for Watford fans, that he's been Watford through and through near enough his whole career. He started with us, ended with us, and, you know, he's now leaving as a manager, and he's done near enough every single role at the club. And I think he's been a great servant to the club, and I think that's what even boils more with the frustration. I think when we did have like Rob Edwards, I think he was going to be sort of that person we thought at the time. And when we did sack him, we did have, similar to what sort of Aaron said, that sort of that, you know, the first bit of like, it's the Pozzo's fault. And that was 3 seasons ago, where it was Stoke away, the first game under Bilic, and there was Watford fans with like Pozzo out banners. And it was the most toxic away end I've ever been in, because half of the fans were like, no, we like the Pozzos. And then there was another saying, well, we want them out, because that was when fans started to sort of switch into, you know, what the problem is. That is what we said, where, you know, we've not been signing the players, and it's took us 3 years on, and we finally hopefully got about 75% fans who are not Pozzo out essentially, but they're just saying, just, you know, Pozzo, just sort yourself out, like, what are you doing? But yeah, to the original question, I think, yeah, Cleverley's been a great servant for the club. It's a shame he's gone in this way as well, because I know so many Watford fans would have loved to give him a send off. I think, if, you know, we'd probably preferred it had been toxic. But if you just said, look, we're sacking him the game before, he'd get a send off. It'd be Gino would definitely not have been there. But I think what fans probably would have preferred that, because, you know, he's been absolutely shafted to not be at us anymore in that aspect.
Good questions come in here, Aaron. Clancy again on fire tonight. Clancy, thank you so much. I wonder if we're going to get another chat with people at the club like we did this season. Would be interesting to see what happens, but I don't think they'll do one. That they did that at Sheffield Wednesday recently. It did not go down. Didn't quite go so well. Do you see that happening, Aaron? Given what's gone on tonight?
Yeah. So I've heard there's an EFL rule. You're supposed to have 4 points of fan contact a season. Not necessarily about playing squad or football operations, but you're supposed to have 4. We've had 2. And then one of those fan contacts was supposed to be a supporters board. Now, they announced that, I think, in about October, November time. It has never happened. So where that's ended up, I have no idea, but I can't see them persisting with it now. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic rule that the EFL have that, but they obviously don't police it because we've never had 4 fan contacts in the season. It's all good, the EFL putting these things in, but they need to actually be strict and make sure they happen because it goes part and parcel with the whole fit and proper test they do for the owners. They've got all these processes involved to make sure football clubs don't end up going crazy. But it doesn't stop it, does it? They don't have a good enough handle on it. And I'm not saying that we're in as bad a situation as some of those clubs that have had sort of really detrimental impacts of that, like Reading, who are thankfully now looking to come out the other end of the tunnel. But yeah, it's absurd. And like we've discussed, I don't think they've really listened to us. We thought they might be starting to listen to us when he wasn't sacked in January. This has just shown us that was obviously not the case at all. I would love to have a chance to ask my own questions to them. And actually, my first step now going on from this would be to all podcasts, media outlets, whether you're a TikToker, whether you've got a channel, whether you're just a sort of a well-known face, to just get together and really put a proper a petition, a letter, just detailing what we want. And I think what we want mostly is answers. It's just actual answers. The last time, Do Not Scratch Your Eyes did a great job arranging a meeting that they managed to get Gino to. And they did get to ask some pretty good questions, but he did kind of just dodge them with political answers the entire time. I don't think that's acceptable anymore. And I think how far it's come, we deserve to really know some more about what goes on at our football club because it's his football club. He pays for it and owns it. But, if we were all to disappear, you'd have no reason to own it. So that would be my plea to any big face channel, social media outlet. Just let's get together and try and make something worthwhile and productive.
I don't like doing this next bit, but of course the next conversation comes, Luke, with who next, and those conversations have already started. If I just share with you the latest, the bookies' favourites from the most reputable site, which I can find. Yeah. So the top name, Alberto Garrido, who has been a assistant manager, I think, at Real Madrid.
He's with us right now.
Madrid. Yeah. Do you see that happening? Gary O'Neill, Sean Dyche, Rob Page is there. Steve Cooper comes up for every single job. Rob Edwards is 12-1.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And then Marty Cifuentes, who's 14-1, which seems to be trending a little bit in Watford circles. What's your thoughts, Luke?
Well, we don't like a proper experienced one to start a sort of project with. So it'd be someone random we've never heard of, which it most likely will be the favourite, I reckon, from what I've sort of read in the sort of little sources that we've had. In terms of our recruitment and managers, when we actually have a sort of a clean slate, is not usually great, to be honest. It usually is a young sort of Spanish manager, as we've seen the last sort of few years. And then we actually get more of the bigger names once we actually realise we're in deep trouble, which has never worked because we don't back them, which is the reason. I do think it will most likely be the Spanish. Did you say he's always been our assistant already, Rigo? Did you say?
He's our assistant right now. Well,
yeah, there you go. You're on a cheat.
French actually said that a lot of Cleverley's staff have left. So, I don't know.
Yeah. But he got brought in like halfway during the season, didn't he? I swear.
I think it was last summer or something. I don't know. I always thought if Cleverley ever got sacked, he'd come in as caretaker or whatever.
Yeah,
But it wouldn't make sense sacking Cleverley. They apparently we don't have time on our hands. I don't know why not, but
he's gone for experience out of the Southampton Real because he did 50 before he came to you. It was 15 years at this Real Madrid Casilla, which was he didn't manage them. He was his assistant there.
Yeah.
So why can't we go and get Marty Cifuentes? What's wrong with that?
Well, Marty Cifuentes, I think, is actually a really good manager. I still wouldn't be on board with the Cleverley sacking, and I don't think it matters who our manager is, because ultimately they won't get back to the window and they'll probably be sacked in a few months. But Cifuentes is actually a really good manager. He's had high and low points of QPR. He's got them up the table quite a few times. I think without them, they may be nearer the bottom, but I think he'll have way better options on the table for him. I mean, West Brom don't have a manager right now. Norwich, I think, are appointed Jack Wilshere, but anyone but us, I think, is a more attractive club. Even if maybe not him, but if a manager had the option of Watford or mid-table / playoff pushing League One club, I'd generally go for the playoff pushing club. I think they get a nice payout at Watford at least.
Okay. Aaron, any names on there? I mean, at the bottom of the list, Wayne Rooney's name was there. Just to make your day even worse. So.
Yeah, I mean, the early list when it comes to like the new Watford manager odds, it's never any of them, because like Luke says, they'll pluck someone out of goodness knows where. I remember when Cisco Munoz came into the frame and we were like, who on earth is this bloke? Some little Spanish man that was managing Georgia just rocked up. Yeah, it ended up going quite well, obviously, but that's because we had a far better team back then. No, I think a lot of the names on there are managers that will need backing. There's a lot there that have a certain style of play. Like if we had Russell Martin, there's no way that squad's going to do what he's going to want them to do. So unless you're bringing him in on the premise that you are going to give him players, there is no point doing that. He'll be gone by September. I think the only manager there that I would go, you can probably get something out of this squad, is Steve Cooper. I think at all of the jobs he's had, he's worked with what he's been given and he's got something out of that. Obviously getting Forest promoted, I actually didn't think he was doing that bad a job with that Leicester team when they sacked him. I thought that was a pretty early one to pull the trigger on, so he would be my pick, but I don't think they would afford him, and I think he's going to have far better options than us. So out of that list, Steve Cooper, but I couldn't see it.
If you're watching live or if you're watching us on the re-record, let us know in the comments now. Would you be open to that, Steve Cooper? We've calculated there's going to be about 10 teams, we think, over the summer looking for a new manager. If you count Leicester and Southampton coming down, and as you've already mentioned, West Brom, Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday, QPR, Hull might sack theirs. We think Middlesbrough, Carrick is under fire there as well. So you might not get to have your pick if you don't hurry up. But we shouldn't be here though, Rio, should we? Let's just bring that part of our conversation to a close. Final words from you on Cleverley.
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job, and I think he'll find a championship club elsewhere. I don't know why. He thinks of being a Derby manager sometime next year. If Eustace ever leaves, don't know why he would. But I think he did a really good job up until January. It showed we were in the top 6, but obviously January is a window where you're meant to build on your team, and we did anything but that. I think 4 or 5 of our January summer signings left in January, and even though the likes of, it's probably good we got Jefferson gone, but Eberseli, apparently he was only out for a few more weeks. I mean, I think personally he'd be the best right back at the club, and I thought he did really well, but don't know why Cleverley put him on left back. But yeah, we ultimately didn't upgrade in January, and when your best player, in my opinion, Barr, gets injured, you're supposed to replace him. And obviously we went after that Martial Godot, and it didn't go through, but we should have had alternatives, and it looked like we put all our eggs in one basket. But yeah, I wish him all the best, and I don't think his reputation will be damaged that much from managing at Watford, because I was looking at all the quote tweets from opposition fans and whatever from the sacking. They're all like, I thought he was doing a really good job. Watford are the most confusing. Yeah, I think he's done a good job.
Okay. Luke, your final words on it all?
Really good manager, really good servant for the club. He's done a really good job with the team he's got at such a, as a young manager in his early sort of stage of his career. He'll go to another team and he'll do great. He'll do what Rob Evans has done. Hopefully not go to Luton, of course, but go to a team and, show them, like, this is what I can do. Because I really think he'll want to do that now, because he'll be pretty frustrated with the Pozzos because of the way it's ended. And he's linked to the Norwich job. If he goes there and gets backed, good for him. And if he does well, even better. I don't think there's one more fan who would say they don't want him to do well because of how long he's been around us and how much he probably is a legend of our club. So I wish him all the best. And really good manager and an even better bloke.
Yeah. There's a question coming here. Thanks very much, Hexonic. Do you think your play style needs to change, Aaron?
I think in the season just gone, we sort of flicked between different play styles, and I think that was another one of the parts that I would just praise Cleverley for, because the squad isn't complete. There's too many holes in it to really go, we're going to play this way and we're going to play this way every game. I mean, we switched into like 4 different formations throughout the year. It was never a consistent sort of one way of playing. And I think we could do with sort of that defined style, but that only comes if you bring new playing staff in. If they want to keep this squad and do it on the cheap, we're going to need a manager that's proactive rather than reactive. So like I said, we're going to need that sort of Steve Cooper mold, someone that is going to take the squad, look at it as it is, and set them up to play each game to win the game, rather than having that sort of philosophy style manager where they have that one way of playing and they're going to make sure teams can't beat that way of playing.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. Now we'll finish off our episode by doing our regular. Let's round up all the other Watford news. We've done the big one. Anthony Joshua was back in the news Rio quickly. It's old news rehashed, we think this, but what's your take on it? Will you be getting a nice bit of cash from?
Well, yeah, I remember the news that was coming out, I think, just before the end of last season. Season is in 23-24, so I think it's just a bit of an old news. It helped that the reporter who was speaking to was actually a Watford fan, so it's a topic which interests them both. And obviously, Joshua grew up in the local area, and well, when we're talking about getting Saudis involved, obviously, maybe they're not the best country, but financially they are for certain, and we need that injection of financial cash, because right now we have absolutely none. And obviously you see what teams like, I'm not saying Newcastle, PSG and Watford in the same sentence, but Newcastle obviously a much bigger club, but look where they've gone. If also not even Saudi Arabia, but look at Bournemouth, they're a similar size club to us. That's probably a better comparison. They've got American owners, can't remember, it was someone famous who's owning them, and they're pushing Europa League. So yeah, and it just shows how far we've fallen. That we used to compete with the likes of Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford even, and just way below them now.
Thanks for that. Another quick discussion, Luke. If the goals in this season were scored by homegrown players only, do you have any idea where Watford would be in the league table?
It's got to be fairly low, just based on how many. We don't really have any attacking English players. It's got to be low.
Relegated.
Who are our English players?
Relegated is the answer. With Cardiff and Plymouth.
The
question,
Matty, yeah.
David Shuri?
No, he's Nigerian.
No, Nigerian.
Wait, did we say homegrown? So like,
yeah, it's homegrown players. Yeah,
Ryan Andrews has chipped in.
Ryan Andrews.
Oh yeah.
That's
so. The question that naturally follows that, then, Luke, is does that bother you? You are,
I mean, it's
not
just
developing, not playing homegrown British talent
Yeah,
anymore.
I mean, I think it's Cleverley done a really good job at it. There was a sort of in his was it in what he said in his statement? He did say how pleased he was to have that amount of 21 or under players, but they weren't homegrown, and I think it's more just based off the sort of the leagues, how they work in terms of quality. There's better quality at the moment from other academies in other countries doing better than us. If you probably looked at that stat in League One or League Two, it's probably a lot higher. And then it probably differs as you go higher, just based off how good the international quality is. And we want to have good players to come through. I think it's similar to that sort of that Bundesliga rule where you have a certain amount of homegrown players have to be within the the full lineup, and I think that helps a lot because I know a lot of our sort of younger players that we like to sort of back. I think most Watford fans have a soft spot for them. Like with Ryan Andrews, Watford fans are very happy how well he's done so far for the club. I think there needs to be more of them, because I think it's a good way to get fans on board as well.
Yeah.
I also think it's a
If I-
problem with our recruitment. We never look at the English market, especially League One or League Two. And when Cleverley said in January, this is one of the reasons he's been sacked, because he didn't get what he
Yeah,
wanted.
definitely.
Other than ready Championship players, which English, being about the English leagues, we don't. We just sign people from Belgium, Moji Bayat.
Yeah, we never actually do any like smart signings where we think, right, we need like, you know, to our striker conversation. You've got a striker who's banging goals in League One, who's used to English football. Sign him. Oh no, we'll get Rajovic, bio from God knows where, and that will do the job. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, again, it's just got to be, you know, it's easy. I'm saying it from a very basic football perspective, but if I'm playing Football Manager and I'm Watford manager, I'm looking in League One. I'm not looking in any other league. Put me in charge.
I've got to compare Aaron to QPR, who you know they've got players that we've seen this season, Ryan Colley and Alfie Lloyd, that have come through academies, not necessarily their own, but they're getting a chance there. And why aren't we seeing this? And Millwall, in particular, making money on their academy players and selling them on for millions and reinvesting it into the academy. Why have we not got that at Watford?
Yeah, it's a funny one. Weirdly enough, our probably breakout player in the end of this season was Barr, who was a guy that we signed for our youth team years ago, who's finally sort of come through. So it just shows that we can do it. And we saw some flashes of a few towards the end of the season. Nabizada was looking really good. Unfortunately got injured, so he didn't get as much time as he probably would have done. And then we had sort of Messiah Edwards in the last few games, looked really bright coming on at times. So I hope we see a bit more of him. But we've never really been a team since the Pozzos have come in to play our youth players, and which baffles me, because then in the most recent interview with Scott Duxbury, he said that they were now looking to do that. So they've said this is the attitude they would like to go for, but they're not really, you know, putting the money where their mouth is and actually putting them into the team and putting some money into that sort of infrastructure. Our youth team obviously got to the FA Cup, Youth FA Cup semi-final this year, lost out to Man City. So there's definitely some good players there. Of course, we'd all like to see more come through, but even just like Luke and Rio have touched upon, going and looking at some of the young British players that we have in the lower leagues that you can go and take for, I mean, a fraction of the price we paid for Bio. So I know and I think it just comes back down to, again, a latter point about the recruitment is all done by Gianluca Nani and the recruitment team, who are shared with Udinese. They obviously all look at sort of the same pool of player and they sign players for each other. That's just how the Pozzos work, and they seem reluctant to go into the English market where other championship teams do, and we constantly see teams pick up these great players from League One, or they bring them in from Premier League academies, and we don't do it. And I don't see how they haven't looked at that and gone, oh, maybe we should try that.
Right. Thank you very much, all of you. One final bit of Watford news, of course, which I'm sure you've all been delighted with at the weekend, was the news that unfortunately your rivals, I say unfortunately, not unfortunately, your rivals are now you're now in League One from being in the Premier League and parachute payment. We've got a few of the best of social media takes on this. There's always going to be one taking the sites. Well done, Hazza. Yeah, what have we got there? Yeah, Beast. I love that one. A couple more. Life's full of ups and downs. That's quite clever, that one. Well done, WDS finest. And Rio, getting in the act here yourself. Thought your championship super team would have delivered the outcome you wanted. Oh well, hopefully your League One super team can try their luck next time. Naughty you. Yeah, I mean, I know you've enjoyed it, and I know the stadium was cheering every West Brom goal as it went in there. But Luke, are you in some ways going to miss that game next season? Does it give your season purpose?
Oh yeah, I was the only one, I think, in these last sort of 5 weeks on the run up was saying, oh, I kind of don't mind them staying up. Not like I wanted them to win, but I think it's the one away fixture I really look forward to the season. Before the season starts, I actually never book any holidays during the season in case it clashes with the Luton game. And that, to be fair, I'm not that bothered about it. when the fixtures come out, just because there's not a fixture I'm like really like, well, I can't miss it, because Luton is the one that we've only seen them twice at their place, and I think for being a lifelong Watford fan, it's it's a big game. Don't get me wrong, it is very funny. They've got relegated twice. I think it's brilliant. But to be in that position is quite embarrassing, to be fair, to go down twice in exactly the same kit. They'll probably come back up, and we might now with Cleverley going, we could even, I hate to say it, but we could even flip over, which I don't want to obviously see. But yeah, it'd be a fixture which will be probably missed next season for me, as a Watford fan. But they've gone down now. It's quite funny, so I'll enjoy it. At least there's something to smile about now, even though Cleverley's gone. Could be worse. We could be in the League One.
Melanie's spot on here. Thanks, Melanie. It's
Yeah.
irrelevant us really talking about Luton after today's news, to be honest, isn't it? If you just tuned in, Melanie, we have been talking about Tom Cleverley for 35 minutes, so we're just going to do 5 minutes of cheering ourselves up.
It's really annoying because just let's just have a nice summer, enjoy Luton's back-to-back relegations, but it's just a terrible mood for me. Like, they've got relegated back-to-back, like the fourth team to only ever do it. Yet I don't know if I'd say we're the bigger laughing stock, but I think we could easily, as Luke said, flip over in a season or two time. I think they're probably the richest club in League One. Although, apart from Birmingham, not many teams go straight back up. If you look at Charlton, Bolton, Huddersfield, Blackpool, Wigan, there's many others, Rotherham, they're all struggling. They haven't hit the playoffs or gone straight back up. Well, Charlton have now, but yeah, we could easily be in League One, and yeah, it's put a damper on the celebrations, because also I think Luke actually tweeted it earlier, like all the fans staying behind to clap Cleverley and whatnot. Like, I think more people stayed in the stadium because they're checking the Luton result, and it ultimately gave Cleverley a better reception because everyone was in a positive mood, and all for nothing now.
Yeah. I mean, my dad's reaction, he was the one who told me about it at lunchtime when I spoke to him, and his reaction, I think, was very much like the general footballing world to this. It's just what Watford do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a damning indictment, Aaron, isn't it? Of your club, and thank you, Watford Way here. Cheers for this shocking news. Even for Gino, this is a new low. And Aaron, let's give you the final word on it, shall we?
Yeah, I just think everything we spoke about today, something has to change, and like I've said, they need to sit and look at themselves at this point. The last few years has just only gone one way, and that's downwards. It gets worse and worse with every manager that goes. I mean, and this one, like we've seen in the outpouring, it's the final straw for so many people to have a man that was not only a really good coach, but a guy that the fans could resonate with, a guy the fans supported. How you can look at the reaction of those away ends in the away games, that second half of the season, the total outpouring of support for Cleverley and his players, to look at that and then go, nah, we still need a change, it baffles me. And I'm going to say it again, I think this is the point we need to end on. If you're a familiar face at games, if you are a YouTube channel, if you are a TikToker, if you are a journalist, anyone that cares about this football club, we need to come together and really try and make our voices heard for real. We thought we were heard in January. This has shown us we were not heard at all, and it is time that we let them know how we feel and that we want what's best for our club. Do they?
Absolutely. If you're watching that and you are someone who can organise that or put that together, you've got Aaron's email, you've got Twitter there, and Melanie absolutely says, clap, Aaron. Yeah, perfect point to end it on. Let Aaron know on Twitter if you are someone who would like to get involved with that. Right. Just a few thank yous. Oh, go on, Leo. Go on.
Oh no, I was going to say on Aaron's point, there's actually Watford FC News who put the statement out asking everyone to come together. So as well as Aaron, also him.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you all so much. Thank you very much, of course, for joining us on this very live special. Thank you. If you've only just come across the channel, do drop us a quick subscribe if you can, please do so. We're going to give you guys 2.5 months off now. That's what I'm talking about. Watford will be back here at the end of July to hopefully with a manager in place and brand new kits and so on. Just a quick one, Rio. If it's Wrexham away the first game, will we still hear the Tom Cleverley chant?
I don't know what you guys think, but I know it's obviously terrible he's gone, but do you think we can still sing? Obviously, we can sing I Don't Care About Gino, but do you think the word should be changed from Tom Cleverley to Watford FC? Or
No, we'll keep doing Tom Cleverley, I reckon, for the first at least 5-10 games. We'll be like, Chelsea fans even still sing about Roman Abramovich. We're going to be like that in 10 years' time. We're going to go Tom Cleverley, stuff like this.
Oh, we've had 30 managers.
Ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah.
3-0 down to James McLean hat trick.
All right. Listen, you guys have a great summer. Thank you all very much for watching. Shocking news, absolutely disgraceful. But thank you for offloading all your grief with us. Appreciate it. Have a great summer all. Thank you very much for watching.